Alrighty, hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Trundle Domination. I'm here again with a very special video this time. The clips that you're seeing right here, the gameplay, is just kind of something to throw in the background. Today I'm doing kind of just like an advice, guide, lesson type video about how to climb, and how I just was able to succeed in my climb, as I just hit Diamond on my main account playing support and jungle. And along the way, I learned some incredibly valuable skills and lessons that I want to share with you. So first off, my first lesson for just general climbing is active thinking. And what I mean by this is the ability to fight autopilot and actively think about the game and what action should be taken. This skill is really hard to practice, and it's easy to fall back into autopilot. So why is this so important, and how do we use it? Well, it's important because autopilot often leads to incorrect choices and makes us stop thinking and start chasing whatever is the most fun. I don't play a lot of assassins, but I know that this happens in the case with a lot of assassin champions because they tend to try and chase kills and gold and just overextend because they think they're kind of unbeatable. And that tends to happen just on autopilot, and it makes them pretty punishable in a lot of cases. In contrast, active thinking allows us to quickly realize what fights aren't worth it, and what macro plays to avoid or to exploit, and what our current and scoping win conditions are. Generally, what that means is that active thinking allows us to better understand the game state and how we can react to the game state. So, how do we actually do this? How do we improve our active thinking? Well, the way that I found the easiest was actually when I was making my YouTube commentary videos. I found that it becomes a lot easier to react and understand the match if I what's it called? Sorry. If I'm able to kind of speak through what's going on in my mind, what I'm thinking about, and what's happening in the game. If I just kind of say it out loud, it makes it so much easier for us to actually or for me to actually be able to make the right choices in a lot of cases. That was actually a pretty clean dive. I played this game a little while ago, so I don't remember it exactly, but yeah, that was pretty nice. Cool. So other ways that I've seen to increase active thinking is to set kind of like a repeating 2 or 3 minute timer. That while you're playing a match, and every time the timer goes off, you would ask yourself a variety of questions, but the general ones are, what are my current win conditions? What can I do right now to help my team achieve those win conditions? And more specifically, if you're like having trouble with vision or something, you could be like, where would be a good spot to put my ward right now? Or you could think, how can I help my team with vision right now? And you can do that with anything you're struggling with. Objective control, laning. Just every time the timer goes off, you start to think about it. And you're like, this is what I can do right now to help my team get closer to the victory, essentially. That's kind of the goal of this. I've tried it. It doesn't work super well for me. But I've seen it work pretty well for people in the past, so I would say give that a try if you're struggling. If not, there's actually lots of really good videos about fighting autopilot on YouTube. I would suggest any of those, really, any of the higher rated ones. So next, this lesson is, well, I guess it's less of a lesson and more of a mindset adaptation that will allow you to win infinitely more games. Now I found that definitely it's a bit of a meme within the LOL community that someone will die once and then they'll type GG FF15. And I used to think this was like just, a joke or simply like a low elo thing, like people, would just do this to troll and kind of like if they're not really trying to win. But I found that even in my like higher elo tryhard games, people are doing the same thing and they still have the same mindset. And it's just incredibly problematic in that regard. So the lesson here is that obviously it goes without saying that one death does not make the game unwinnable or even unplayable. The issue that I see here is that many players who actually are very skilled and incredible at the game just give up and troll once they find themselves in any sort of disadvantaged state. Because they troll because they kind of refuse to just be carried. And unironically, being carried is just an incredibly valuable skill when it comes to consistently winning games in League. Because this game, it's just fundamentally impossible to carry every single match because there's just too much variability. You have different teammates, different champions, different interactions every single game. It's impossible for you to get fed and actually 1v9 every single game. So what we have to do here is learn that if we're behind, maybe it's better to slow down and play for picks and fights with your team so you have more wiggle room for errors and whatever goal difference might be at play. So what this really means is that we need to look for 2v2s and 3v3s and outnumbered fights are generally the three that you can look for. You don't want to go for 4v4s or 5v5s because then your impact and your skill is way less important to the outcome of the fight. So you want to look for smaller battles where you'll be able to prove basically how good you are, but also have your allies there in case the fight doesn't go very well, and you might be able to work with them and be able to turn it. So overall, the idea of this lesson that I'm trying to hammer home is that every single game is winnable, no matter the lead, and you can always find ways to use your skill and your agency to heavily impact the outcome of a match. Even if you're not having a good game, you can do your part and you can play with your teammates, and you guys can still achieve a win. Alright, moving into the last lesson for today. I think that the most important lesson, if you're trying to climb in general, is about innovation. And that means innovating creative and unique measures to help your team find more success. So a good example of this, I think, is what we found in the past with like kind of even just pro play examples. I'm trying to remember, I don't remember the exact team, but there was a game where a specific team decided to throw all four of their members into mid lane and have one jungler that was roaming around the map. And this was a pro game where the enemy team was just better than them, basically objectively. So they used this strategy, this innovative strategy, and they were able to win the game in record time and take down an inhib before like 6 minutes. Like it was insane. And that's just to show that like innovation and creativity are a huge part of playing this game. And a lot of people will say, actually, I've heard it a lot in the past when I was myself looking to try and climb, that you should emulate, not innovate. And quite frankly, I just think that is just complete bullshit. Because if you're just trying to emulate someone else, it will lead to very harmful habits. And this mentality in general is bad because everyone understands the game differently and learns the game differently and plays the game differently. I mean, just look at the difference in meta between pro play and different regions across the same patch. They're fundamentally playing the same game, same champions, same power levels, but all these different champions have drastically different win rates and efficacy levels only because of the players. So, if we're applying that to this concept, if the players can have that much difference on whether or not a champion works, then it's kind of impossible to play a champion how someone else does. So my best advice would be just play the champion you want and come up with creative ways to play them to mess up your opponent's game. And I've done this in a lot of my games as well. I tend to solo start the enemy's top side whenever I'm playing Udyr. Enemy that I can outclear, to be fair. So I'd start either their Raptors or Wolves. Like in this game, I would start Graves Raptors at the beginning of the match. I don't do this on Maokai because he doesn't clear very fast. But on Udyr, I can take I can take their entire top side and rotate down into my bot side and get at least one of the Scuttle Crabs. And they don't really get anything, frankly. So it's just like a super effective strategy that throws a giant curveball into the enemy jungle's plan because they don't get a whole side of the map. They don't get entire 3 camps to try and to get extra gold and experience and level themselves up. So it tends to be a huge curveball in most junglers' game plans, unless they're like a ganking jungler, but that's pretty rare in general. Anyways, yeah, I think that's all I had for this video. Oh, just in general for this concept. Well, learning from a player about options and decisions can be very beneficial, like what I show you in my videos. It's a bad idea to simply emulate because it leaves no room for creativity and curveballs, as I was saying. And those can be equally as good at winning games and impacting games, as long as you're able to execute them correctly. So I'm not going to say go try to do a new champ in a new lane. I wouldn't say go try to play Graves ADC and then hope that it's jarring enough to your allies that you'll win. But I think that if you have a strategy that you believe will work and has some basis to it, I think you should try it, because if it works for you, that's probably going to be the most effective way that you're going to learn how to play the game. Anyways, I wanted to say thank you, and also to ask if there's any type of videos you want to see more informative content on. I'm planning on making some more videos about my climb in the future, more specifically how you can innovate those strategies, how you can keep a cool head, and just general advice such as that. But I've also haven't made a League Explained video in a while, so if you guys have any concepts you'd like to hear my take on, then I'd be more than happy to make them for you. That said, please make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you.